the union makes us strong.
Which side are you on? 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 They say in old Namibia, no neutrals now do dwell. Let's call out the Chinese billionaires, bust our union, go to hell. If they lock us out for union pay, of course we're gonna fight. And I hope I live to see the day free health care's a right. Which side are you on? 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 Just try to break our union, we'll shame you in this song. Fuck those billionaires in China, cause what they're doing is wrong. They pit low-wage Chinese workers against our union rights. The world sees right through your silly game, and that's why we're gonna fight. Which side are you on? 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 Let's call for UN oversight on China without a doubt. The whole world sees what's going on. Let Namibian miners shout. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? And let's hear those Namibian workers screaming it out, yeah. They say in old Namibia and all across the land, no neutrals here that I can see. Namibian miners take a stand. Which side are you on? 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 Namibian workers, I hope you hear this. Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Today is an international day of action to support the Namibian miners, the leadership in Rossing who've been fired by the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation. And we are demanding that President Xi Jinping, who is the head of China and also in charge of these Chinese companies like the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation, rehire these miners, the union leaders who have been fired since September of last year. Fired because they wanted to protect the health and safety conditions of the workers. They wanted to make sure they had good health benefits in the midst of this pandemic, in the midst of COVID. And as Pat was saying earlier, today in San Francisco, around the United States, COVID is really running wild. And also they have a lockdown in Namibia today as well. So this is an international issue, protection of people around the world. And one of the things that capitalism doesn't have in the United States is national health care. So people are getting sick from COVID, and they're having paying hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars are being charged. It's capitalism. It's profiteering off of COVID. And unfortunately, in the United States, profit is over lives. People are dying in the South. They're dying around this country because they don't have health care, they don't have protection, and they want to keep the companies going, producing regardless of the lives that it's costing. We're demanding that the government of Namibia as well stop harassing the miners and their lawyer, Hewat Beukes. Hewat Beukes is a mine workers' legal representative. He also represents the fishermen of Namibia. And he's been fighting against the attacks on labor, workers' rights in Namibia. And unfortunately, Namibia is being recolonized because not just Icelandic fishing company, but Chinese companies are bribing the ministers who are supposed to enforce the laws. They've been stalling the arbitration for a long time in Namibia. So the Namibian workers want justice. They want the legal system to work. They want labor rights to be protected. That's why they're there. And we are here in San Francisco on August 13th to support them, to call for solidarity, and to say that this is not a rally against the Chinese workers, the Chinese people. The Chinese workers face exploitation as well. And the Namibian miners have a strong position on internationalism. They've supported the Alabama miners who are on strike right now. The Alabama miners have been on strike for over 5 months, and they need solidarity. We need internationalism. We need international solidarity with workers around the world. And because the workers' struggle in Namibia is connected to the workers' struggle in this country. These multinationals that operate around the world don't care about workers' rights. All they care about is profits. So we have to build an international working class movement. We have to build international solidarity with our brothers and sisters in China, in Namibia, and in the United States. Solidarity is needed throughout the world. So we're going to have our first speaker. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Mackay, and I am a member of the Freedom Socialist Party. Now, we have a statement from FSP which says, "The Freedom Socialist Party is here today to demand that the Southwest Africa People's Organization, that is SWAPO, led government of President Hage Gottfried Geingob, enforce its own labor laws and compel the state-owned Chinese National Nuclear Corporation to stop its union busting and rehire the fired union members of the Mine Workers Union of Namibia, MUN, Rossing branch. We condemn the complicity in union busting of the ruling SWAPO political leadership. SWAPO's role today in this anti-union attack contrasts sharply with the decades of anti-imperialist struggle that won independence for Namibia from Germany in 1990. This battle by indigenous African peoples received both moral and material support from the ruling Communist Party in China. But today, these former anti-colonial forces are acting against the interests of the African working people. As the fired miners wrote to address their plight in a letter to Chinese President Xi-Jinping, we were repeatedly reminded of the role the people... I'll repeat. We were repeatedly reminded of the role of the People's Republic of China played during the war of our liberation. It appears that the savior has now become the killer. We call on President Geingob to force the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation to reinstate the 9 fired MUN union organizers and negotiate decent working conditions with these uranium miners. We hold him as President of Namibia accountable for the safety and welfare of the Rossing miner workers. Lawyer Hewat Beukes, whose home has been threatened by attackers and whose water and electricity have been cut off. As international socialist feminist organization, the Freedom Socialist Party is committed to winning justice for these Namibian miners, justice for all the exploited and oppressed in the US and around the world. Remember, an injury to one is an injury to all. Thank you.
Thank you for that solidarity. And as I was saying, this struggle of the workers in Namibia is not isolated. There's workers in the United States and San Francisco who are also fighting for justice. And one of them is WD, who was a nurse with the City and County of San Francisco, shop steward, chief shop steward, and was fighting against bullying. He was fighting to protect the patients and the workers and against corruption. So welcome.
I'm a senior shop steward with SEIU 10-1. I have been with the union for more than 15 years. I have been with the city for 21 years. I have a little history for you. I remember after I started working here, maybe about the first 2 years, and I noticed open sexual harassment in the workplace. And I reported it. I had videos. I went to my union, SEIU 10-1. I'm a senior shop steward with SEIU 10-1 now. And as I reported this sexual harassment, I went to a meeting and the representative for SEIU approached me. I had given her all my documentation and information, and as we were about to meet and finalize the charges, she asked me where my documents were. I told her I gave them to you. She said, well, I don't have them. If you don't have them, we'll have to leave. Now, this is how sexual harassment was handled. This particular representative is now a very well-known lawyer here in San Francisco, and this is about to come forward. She basically moved all of the information that I had to where I could not access it, and then she went to the union and claimed that I would not be able to forward my protest any further. So my legitimate protest for sexual harassment in the workplace was just cut off by a person that did this in the name of the union, SEIU 10-1. Many of you know me in the union, if not 3/4 of you. But what I need to say is that there is good news now for the union members. Many of you have asked me, how can a union representative or a shop steward come to you and you present a problem to him? You file a grievance and they just walk away and leave you with nothing. You know, the fact of the matter is, they are trained that way. It's something they have been allowed to do for a long time. And as far as the training, I was in the training. I joined SEIU 10-1 after they ignored my sexual harassment complaints. And I wanted to find out how they could get away with this, how they were able to do this, and nobody was able to protest to go any further. So I've been in SEIU now for probably more than 15 years. And I've seen some horrendous things. I've seen people lose their jobs, and basically it's because of skin color. It's because they didn't have somebody to support them, or they didn't have the money to get a lawyer, or they were just trying to hold on their jobs and they figured that they would just be a bit quiet. Well, that's not the way to get anything resolved, not being quiet. You go in a hole and hide, you die there. You need to stand up for your rights. Now, my good news for the SEIU members is that now we are in an age of social justice. We have support now. And those of you that want to further your complaints, you want the support, contact me at wdflint@yahoo.com and I will connect you. I suggest that many of you that have had complaints, that have had grievances, and the shop stewards have walked away from you, get your grievances together, notify your friends. Let's put them in mass. You can also send your complaints directly to the Department of Labor. They are starting to do investigations now, and they really should investigate the city of San Francisco. I have encouraged many of you to have recorders, to take pictures, to do videos to prove your point. I've been doing this now for 17 years, and I'm ready to move forward, and I'm willing to help anybody else ready to be forward. This union has been taking our money for 20-some years, and they have not given us the support that we're supposed to have. When I first filed a grievance with the union, and basically it went to where we had arbitration. Do you know I had to wait 3.5 years to get arbitration? That's insane. I'm without a job for 3.5 years waiting for arbitration, my legal rights. I won the arbitration, but by the same token, they were supposed to follow this through to make sure that all of my benefits were restored and that they would follow through with the person that did this, hold them accountable. None of these things were done. I have a video of the entire arbitration. I intend to go forward. I have been working for a long time on this. There are many other things that have happened. Like I say, many of you have asked me how the union can do this is because we let them get away with it. We do not hold them accountable. We don't come forward. I have come forward, and anybody that wishes to stand with me or wish to stand on their own and need information from me, I am available. Again, I am W.D. Flint, And basically, I would also suggest that those of you that don't have a copy of the union contract, get it from someone. You can get it from me and look at it. What they're doing is called failure to represent. And let that get to the federal government. Contact the labor board, the federal labor board, and get this thing addressed. It's been going on for a long time. I've seen people lose their jobs because they did not have the support, and the union personnel misled them. What had happened even since then, many of the people that were my witnesses that I kind of depended upon at that time, they are now on payroll with SEIU. Amazing, huh? But you know what? It's amazing to get that information because I need to bring that forward. There's a pattern that I can show. And so I suggest anybody that needs help understanding this or how to put their little ducks in a row as far as collecting evidence, I am available 24/7. Again, I am W.D. Flint, and my last name is spelled F as in Frank, L-I-E-N-T. It's supposed to be French, but I'm saying it's time to move forward. Social justice is the thing, and it should be social justice for the entire world, not just for one section. Thank you very much. Pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
You want to sing a song?
Sure. You know, just to follow up on what Mr. Flint was saying, so Mr. Flint, just wanted to follow up on what you were saying, about what you were saying, that the UAW, this is the same UAW that we just did a demonstration down at BlackRock, in front of BlackRock, which is the hedge fund manager that, you know, set $9 trillion, and they bought out basically the UAW workers, and one of them, for over 10 years they were stealing, you know, union funds to go for their families, for first-class trips and so on, and they worked against the interest of the workers.
Yes.
They're the ones that established a two-tiered wage system. That's what they're fighting right now in Georgia. Right now, those were the Volvo workers. So can you imagine the skullduggery of using union dues like it was a credit card for their gambling habits and second houses and first-class vacation getaways for officials of the family to buy into Mar-a-Lago at $225,000 a year? This is what they all got busted for. There were like a dozen of them, and fortunately, the Justice Department, you know, charged them, and now they're in jail. And one of them is Gary Jones, who was the head guy of the UAW. So Gary Jones, you know, got the least of it because he ratted everybody else out. But but they're going to be in some white-collar prison somewhere. But the most important thing is, I hope his cellmate Boris, you know, teaches Mr. Jones something about union organizing. It is international.
And our next speaker is Charles Rackless with the Communist Workers Group. And Charles is also an industrial hygienist, safety engineer who's been fighting for health and safety on the job in this COVID pandemic. So welcome, Charles.
I'm Charles Rackless. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Communist Workers Group and the International Leninist Trotskyist Tendency. Our statement is hands off Hewat Beukes and Erica Beukes and the Workers' Revolutionary Party. Victory to the Rossing miners. The International Leninist Trotskyist Tendency strongly protests the harassment of the lawyers for the Rossing miners and the families and supporters of Hewat Beukes and Erica Beukes. The MUN Rossing miners have been in struggle to sustain gains made in decades past when Rio Tinto owned the mines. Since the Chinese state, in the guise of the Chinese National Nuclear Corporation Rossing Uranium Limited, CNNC/RUL, bought a dominant share of the mines, historic conditions are being attacked, and union activists are being locked out for defending their contract, and Namibian labor laws, which the new owners refuse to adhere to. Namibia is becoming a semi-colony of China. with its comprador bourgeois state enforcing the interests of the Chinese masters. Africa, long enslaved by Western imperialism, is today being bullied and exploited by both imperialist blocs. Russian mercenaries in the Congo and Libya seek to enforce Putin's interests, while Chinese state-owned capitalist industries extract super profits from African labor and resources while waving a red flag to take in the credulous. Here as elsewhere, we say state victimization of worker militants and their supporters must not stand. We call for militant class struggle actions, including mass pickets, strikes, site occupations, coordinated by the building of rank-and-file strike committees that expand and unite all union and workers' struggles behind the founding of a mass workers' party that links all the struggles in Namibia with the whole of Southern Africa to fight for workers' power and a workers' government. We call on workers in all on all continents to defend the Rossing miners, their defenders, families, and supporters. No Americanas in Namibia. Hands off the WRP. What's disgusting? Union busting. What's disgusting? Union busting. What's disgusting? Union busting. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to have some final words from WD about his struggle, and this is another example of the fact that the struggle of the Namibian workers is connected to the struggle of the U.S. workers and San Francisco workers.
And this is not once again to the press, this is not an anti-China issue. This is an anti-imperialism issue. Chinese billionaires are like billionaires anywhere in the world. They bust unions. They're against worker rights and unionizing because it cuts into their profits.
I have been with the union for more than 15 years. I have been with the city for 21 years. And there are many people that have called me that are no longer working with the city of San Francisco. They are no longer part of the union because they've gone elsewhere. They've gotten frustrated, they've gotten fired, they've found new jobs, they were tired of the pain. Those of you that hear my voice, you still have rights. If you decide to contact me, make sure you file a complaint with the Department of Labor. File it openly and get as much information and get as many people to file complaints as you can, because you can go back and make sure that this is heard, and when all these complaints come together, then we want to have this union become accountable. People have lost their jobs basically because of their skin color, because of lack of money. This is illegal. And like I say, get a hold of that copy of the SEIU union contract. You will find that they have violated for years. They have brought people in to try and get rid of civil service workers such as myself. They do this and they get people that they pull from sometimes rehabilitation programs, and they want them to take our places because they can pay them a lot less money. This has been going on, and this is the motive behind some of the atrocities, behind some of the atrocities that go on in the workplace with the city and county of San Francisco. They know what they've been doing. They just haven't had enough people to stand up against them. Now that we have this pandemic going, we have enough time to sit down and think. We have enough time to sit down and reassess our situation and realize we have power if we move forward. So again, I am wdflint@yahoo.com. My last name is spelled F as in Frank, L-I-E-N-T. More power to all of you. Thank you. And there are many people that have called me that are no longer working with the city of San Francisco. They are no longer part of the union because they've gone elsewhere. They've gotten frustrated, they've gotten fired, they've found new jobs, they were tired of the pain. Those of you that hear my voice, you still have rights. If you decide to contact me, make sure you file a complaint with the Department of Labor. File it openly and get as much information and get as many people to file complaints as you can, because you can go back and make sure that this is heard, and when all these complaints come together, then we want to have this union become accountable. People have lost their jobs basically because of their skin color, because of lack of money. This is illegal. And like I say, get a hold of that copy of the SEIU union contract. You will find that they have violated for years. They have brought people in to try and get rid of civil service workers such as myself. They do this and they get people that they pull from sometimes rehabilitation programs, and they want them to take our places because they can pay them a lot less money. This has been going on, and this is the motive behind some of the atrocities, excuse me, behind some of the atrocities that go on in the workplace with the city and county of San Francisco. They know what they've been doing. They just haven't had enough people to stand up against them. Now that we have this pandemic going, we have enough time to sit down and think. We have enough time to sit down and reassess our situation and realize we have power if we move forward. So again, I am wdflint@yahoo.com. My last name is spelled F as in Frank, L-I-E-N-T. More power to all of you.
An injury to one is an injury to all.
Yes, an injury to one is an injury to all.
An injury to one is an injury to all.
Rehire the Namibian miners.
Rehire the Namibian miners.
Rehire the Namibian miners.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?